of Kankakee Valley High School. This video was created by Mr. Nowine's 4th hour Honors Government class. Our goal is to better educate our county on the upcoming primary. Here are some candidates who accepted our invitation.
This is Mr. John Price. He is running for our county council and he has accepted our invitation to speak with our honors government class today. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm John Price, and my son Jay and daughter-in-law Deb are both high school teachers at Andrean. My wife Pat was a teacher at KB for over 30 years. And back in the day, I was even on the school board for about 6 years. Back when stuff was done right, by the way. I have 43 years of banking and finance experience. Been on the council 7.5 years. We've cut county income tax twice and kept property taxes low. In fact, this year, a lot of people have been seeing a small reduction in their property taxes, or if there's a change, maybe a slight increase, if their assessed value went up, or if in their township, they spent more money like building a firehouse or something like that, a person's property taxes can still go up because there's a whole bunch of things that contribute to what that amount's going to be, not just the income tax. We do have one of these little brochures. We're going to try and get one to everybody in the county the best we can. It's kind of our report card to you all voters, and we're asking you to rehire us, but this has some of the things we've accomplished in it, some of the goals that we have. And by the way, we don't accept any campaign contributions. We did have somebody offer us $2,000, said he didn't want anything for it, but our feeling is we pay for everything ourselves because we want voters and taxpayers to be the only people that we owe anything to. Because I just can't believe someone's going to give you $2,000 and at some point he's going to come and say, hey, you remember how I helped you out? Well, hey, here's what you could do for me. And we don't want to have to do that. We helped get the jail finally fixed after 5 years by constantly being honest, nagging about getting it fixed. It was properly heated and cooled, and the utility bill's about half of what they used to be. We helped save the Jasper County Hospital. There was a real chance in a couple years, just because of all the changes in healthcare, their revenue was dropping. And I looked at the numbers, having been in finance, and I agreed with them in a couple of years it was going to drop to the point where the hospital probably would have had to close and be unsaleable. And the reason for that would be if you have an open, going hospital, it's worth much more. You're much more inclined to want to take something like that over than you would be if there's a vacant, abandoned hospital. And Franciscan is already talking about putting more money into the Rensselaer Hospital. We think it's going to give better care to folks in Jasper County, and so we think it's the right thing to do. Plus, we help save 500 jobs. Now, the hospital board, the commissioners, and the council all work together to make that happen. And the county had been liable for about $12 million in debt. Well, Franciscan took over all of that, so it relieved a potential tax burden for the taxpayers, and it seems like they're doing a good job. I've talked to people that work at the hospital, and they're very pleased with the direction that things are going. We got courthouse security, second drug interdiction officer. We're helping, trying to help Representative Gutwein get his metal theft bill passed, which we think will reduce metal theft that hits our farmers, small business people. Help save both the DeMott and Rensselaer 911 centers. I was the one that proposed the innkeeper's tax, which allows us to have money to support the festivals and recreational activities in Jasper County. And the really cool part is, if you ever notice when you go and stay somewhere else in the country, you paid an innkeeper tax, almost 100%. But when people came here, they paid nothing. So it's 5%, the innkeeper doesn't pay it. The person that is actually using the room pays it, and I don't think most people even notice it on their bill, or if they do, they figure, hey, it's only 5%, I paid 20 in some places I've been. We help support getting a frost ordinance with effective enforcement. We had a frost ordinance, but it couldn't be enforced. And about $1 million a year in damage was being done to our roads by frost law violators. And I had people tell me they could literally see an overweight truck on the roads when the frost law ordinance should have been in effect, literally breaking the pavement up as they went along. And there was nothing we could do to stop that. Well, now we can. We pushed hard to make the VA person in Jasper County the advocate full-time. We got that job done, because our veterans, believe it or not, have a tough road to hoe with the VA whenever they try and get the pension they deserve or health care they deserve. A lot of times they get denied and it wasn't right. Many people just give up. but with the VA advocate, he knows all the ins and outs, he knows the ropes, he knows how to push this through, and he says he never asks for anything that the veteran's not entitled to. If the veteran's entitled to it, he fights like crazy to make sure they get what they deserve. And he said the big problem is a lot of veterans, especially ones that served in Vietnam, he'll see them like at events and such, and he'll say, you look like you need to come in and get some medical care or get a disability pension. And a lot of Vietnam veterans just say, no way, man, I was in Nam, don't want nothing to do with the government. And it's like, well, this is something you're entitled to. You're sick, you're disabled, you need this. So he has to really fight hard to get these people to even apply. So it's not a case where a bunch of greedy people are trying to get something for nothing. It's a case where deserving people who have earned it a lot of times get denied. And we felt that wasn't right. So we increased his job to full-time. We got the speaker system for the courthouse. We're fighting to not let the big box stores get away with being able to reassess for a fraction of what their stores are worth. And we want to have some effective enforcement of all the county zoning and county ordinances without having to file an expensive lawsuit every time someone violates an ordinance or does something they're not supposed to do. And it's going to be a lot cheaper if we can write a ticket to enforce it than have to sue them in court. So I have served 7.5 years. Garrett DeFries, Andy, Andre, and all would all like to be rehired to work hard for the people of Jasper County for another 4 years. So we're asking if you would please vote for us.
Okay, so on to our first question.
Sure.
What would be your first priority if you are reelected?
Well, in May, we're going to make a decision as to whether the income tax should be lowered 0.1% again. That's the maximum the state will allow us to lower the income tax rate any given year. In 2007, when the county council imposed that, they went from 1.5 to 3.114. You could raise it to the maximum in one fell swoop, but our legislatures, if you want to reduce it, you can only reduce it 0.1% a year. But that's a very good question, because a lot of people, I just had someone in March tell me, you're going to cause me to lose my home. And that's the way you're talking about it. He says, I have an expert, local expert in property taxes, guaranteed me my property taxes are going up 200% because you're cutting the income tax. I said, they just flat out, isn't true, give me that person's name so I can set them straight. I know that they want me to give their name. So I said, well, is this that guy that runs around the county yelling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, last name Little, first name Chicken? Is he the one that's telling you your property taxes are going up 200%? Well, I didn't do that because I could tell they were really upset and really concerned, so I didn't want to kind of make a joke of it. But I think it's wrong when people are scaring folks, especially senior citizens, with this crazy talk. I think a lot of times they probably know it isn't true, but their agenda is to keep the income tax the highest they possibly can. Now, why would anyone want to do that? Well, large corporations and people with very expensive homes benefit the most from the high county income tax. According to Dr. Larry DeBoer, who's a Purdue expert on taxes in Indiana, says the high county income tax helps large corporations, helps people with very expensive homes, hurts middle-class families, especially the ones making less than $40,000 a year, and hurts renters because they get no actual benefit at all from it. So what we have is people that don't have a whole lot of money to start with are subsidizing big corporations, and people can afford very large, expensive homes. I love corporations because they create jobs. I don't know a single wealthy person in Jasper County that isn't a good person, so we're not saying anything bad about them. And one of the points I made was, in America, people who are advocating for a high county income tax, that doesn't mean they're bad people. Just like if you're advocating for a low one, doesn't mean you're a good person. It just depends on what your personal situation is. And in America, if a high income tax is best for you, you have every right to ask for that. And if you're a person where a very low income tax is best for you, you have every right to ask for that. What the county council's job is to look at the facts, try and come up with a fair balance. And that's what we've really tried to do. We feel it could be lowered some more. I personally would be happy to get it down to 2.5, which at one point it was like 3.15. And we wouldn't be the lowest in the state, obviously. We'd still be towards the upper third. But for a while, we were number 2 in the state. And if you talk to realtors and home builders on the north end, a lot of them feel it was really hurting us as far as high-income people buying land in Jasper County, building a home, and living here. Now, you might think, why do I care? When that person moves to Jasper County and builds a home, they generally pay a good chunk of property taxes because usually they're building a nice home. They generally have pretty good sized income, so they're paying a lot of income tax. The more that they pay, that means less the rest of us have to pay. So when that tax base grows, it's to everyone's benefit. And Ronald Reagan was the one that said if you cut income taxes, if they're too high, you can actually get more money with a lower rate. And since 2013, when we cut the rate, as of 2014 till now, we've collected $2.7 million more in income tax and almost $880,000 more in property tax relief money. And again, you might wonder, well, gee, how can you get more with the lower rate? Because people had more money to spend in the county, it helped create jobs. In other words, it was a positive thing, more people moved here and are contributing to the tax base. So it really was win-win. So if anyone tells you your property taxes are doubling because of a little cut in the county income tax, you can quote me and say, I'm sure you sincerely believe that, but you're absolutely dead wrong. And Senator Moynihan said everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And the facts are, so far, the county income tax cuts have been good for everybody. We will monitor it closely to make sure that that continues to be true.
Okay. And what influenced you to run for office in this election?
Well, I will have served 2 terms at the end of this. And if you look in our little report card to the voters, there's a list of additional goals. We've accomplished a lot, but some of them are we want to get the jail paid off in 2017, saving about $400,000 in interest. We continue to argue with the legislature. We don't want them forcing us to give your low-it-be property tax relief that you and your parents paid into to giant corporations like Walgreens and CVS and places like that that pay nothing into the income tax. Now, their workers pay into it, but those companies don't. And one of them makes $153 billion with a B dollars in revenue a year. And someone asked, don't they need our local property tax relief, I guess, to keep body and soul together? Well, if you have a revenue of $153 billion a year, you probably aren't even going to notice if you stop getting the $58,000 you've been getting from Jasper County taxpayers that should go to their property tax relief. Somebody said, won't their feelings be hurt if we take it away from them? Well, this is a business. A corporation doesn't have feelings. If they even notice they stop getting the money, no one's going to cry themselves to sleep that night because Jasper County isn't giving them their corporate welfare anymore. We also think there should be one set of rules for everyone. Now, you may have heard sometimes a friend or relative or family member may talk about how they feel that it's more who you know and how much money you have if you want to get something done. And I think sometimes that's true. I've seen cases where people have got things done they shouldn't have been able to do because of who they were, who they knew. Other times, because someone's gotten crosswise with somebody, they get denied doing something they should be allowed to do because somebody is mad at them. And that's not right. In other words, you should treat people fairly. If they've complied with the rules, they get to do what they want to do. If they haven't complied with all the rules, no matter who they are, who they know, who they're related to, they should not be able to get something done until they have fixed the problem and are doing it right. We also want to make sure that we have enforcement of all of our county zoning ordinances. We now can enforce the frost law. We would like to do that with all the other zoning ordinances and such without a lawsuit, just with a ticket. But the main thing we want to do, like I said, is make sure that everyone's treated fairly. We also want to do things the county has to do right the first time. Sometimes in an attempt to save a nickel, in the past I think we flushed bushel baskets, $100 bills down the rat hole trying to save a nickel and then thought we were money ahead. We're big believers that if you're going to do something and it has to be done, do it right the first time. There's some things the county's had to redo and pay for like 4 times to get it right because they were trying to do it on the cheap to start with. And again, we don't need a Mercedes or BMW, but the county shouldn't be buying Yugos either. Just a good old-fashioned equivalent of a Chrysler or a GM or Ford. It does the job, doesn't cost an arm and a leg, but it's something that you can rely on. And in the past, there's been times we bought stuff that was no good just because we thought we were saving some money.
Okay. Do you have any final thoughts to share with us?
Well, like I said, Garrett, Andy, and I are all serving because we enjoy working for the people and doing stuff for people. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the movie Dave. That's the one with Kevin Kline where he ends up taking the president's place. And the First Lady asks him why he's willing to do that, why he's taking a chance, because if he gets caught, he's probably going to prison. And he's done all kinds of positive things for regular people while he's been pretending to be the president. And he finally says, he says, I just love the idea that I get to do good stuff for people that I don't even know and have never even met. That's his reason for serving, because he gets to do good things for people. And I can honestly say, I know that's the reason Gary, DeFries, Andy, Andre, and I are serving, because we like doing a good job for you folks, and we like knowing at the end of the day that maybe we've helped make things a tiny bit better in Jasper County. And so that's why we're asking for your vote to rehire us, please.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.